What is up guys, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. So today we'll be talking about everything that's been happening in the World of Warcraft community, and we'll be covering a couple of stories, and therefore I'll be leaving links in the description, links, as well as the entire video will be broken into timestamps. You will find those timestamps in the description as well, and also the video will just be broken into categories, so you can easily skip to the parts of the video that you are interested in. The headlines we'll be covering today is The Perfect Storm, Striking World of Warcraft by BBC News. We'll be talking about Preach quitting WoW. We'll be talking about J. Allen Brack stepping down from Blizzard and who's replacing him, and how that could hopefully save World of Warcraft in the long term. We'll be talking about content cycle, and basically how Blizzard has approached different expansions, and why that's ultimately led to the downfall of WoW, and just talking about that in general, because apparently the players are always wrong, and Blizzard is always right. It is the perfect you think you do, but you actually don't situation all over again, and it's been happening in retail for several expansions now, so I think we have to talk about this. So let's just start with The Perfect Storm striking World of Warcraft. So there's trouble in the World of Warcraft, not from a rampaging dragon or a demon army attacking the land of Azeroth, but from some unhappy players who after 17 years have had enough. On YouTube, Reddit and Twitter there are stories about people leaving the game. Some cite long delays for new content in a game that charges a monthly fee, others are annoyed at a lack of communication. Players have been flocking to competing games in larger numbers than ever, led by a wave of famous streamers and content creators jumping ship. Then the allegations of widespread sexual harassment and discrimination at Activision Blizzard came out as well. As Scott Johnson, the host of popular MMO podcast The Instance, put it, you have the perfect storm for a lot of players to hang up their Azeroth gear for good and stake out for a new place to play. Drastic dip. Activision Blizzard has not released the official player count for World of Warcraft WoW for years, but it does tell investors how many monthly active users, or MAU, all of its game have every quarter. Those figures show that its game has lost 2 million players in 3 months. New numbers on how many active players it has across its portfolio of games are due out soon when the firm announces its latest quarterly results. WoW is still making plenty of money, revenue is up, so it is possible those numbers mean some of its other games are suffering rather than WoW, or in my opinion, they have said this over and over again, that while they have less subscribers, they are making more money, which is obviously because of the in-game cash shop where you can buy gold pretty much through the WoW tokens, and you can basically buy anything in the game that is buyable with gold, because gold is buyable with WoW tokens. It is impossible to see the real Exodus stats, Scott admitted, but based on things I have heard inside and outside the company, this might be the most drastic dip they have yet experienced. And I have to agree, because content creators are literally jumping ship, both big ones and smaller ones as well, and a lot of them as well. It's not just one or two, it is a lot of them leaving the game. Now, I'm not going to read through the entire post because it talks about Final Fantasy as well, and basically if you want to read the entire post for yourself, the link will be in the description. But basically there's one chapter on Final Fantasy right here called Insane Growth, and all you have to know about this is that Final Fantasy has received a lot of new players, most likely WoW refugees, that are looking for a new MMORPG to play instead of WoW, and well, Final Fantasy has a lot of positive things being said around it, so it was the most obvious choice for a lot of WoW players to go and test out. Also, Asmongold started streaming with Final Fantasy, so I think a lot of people followed in his footsteps. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is all the way down here where they talk about Mike or Preach leaving the game as well, and this is actually huge because he's been covering WoW content for a while, and like he titled the video, it truly is the end of an era. Preach is someone I've been watching for a long time myself. I used to do some semi-hardcore raiding back in the day in the Warlords of Draenor, and ever since then I've pretty much always watched his content, both for just comedy reasons, for news updates, and also for raiding as well, because I do enjoy watching raiding style content. So watching him do dungeons, mythic dungeons, raiding and stuff like that has been phenomenal, and I think someone as big as him within the raiding scene leaving is a massive toll, yeah. It takes on the game, it speaks levels about how bad the situation is. And the thing in that video is that it's not only because of the recent allegations, but it's also because of how Blizzard has been treating their game, and also how they've been responding to player feedback. So, with that being said, is this the end of World of Warcraft? I would bet that the game's best years are well behind it, Scott says, but he doubts it will vanish. While some players will be taking massive breaks, or leaving for good, there are others whose entire social circle is in the game, and leaving it would be like leaving family. But he does not think it is the end for Azeroth. It will bleed, be injured, and maybe scarred forever, but I think it will likely live on one way or the other. When WoW eventually does disappear and the servers are switched off, perhaps many years from now, the impact it had on the industry will live on. Amid all of these troubles, a video from Final Fantasy XIV director Yoshi P has been widely shared, and in that video, he basically says that without World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV would not exist. He said in the video, translated by a fan, WoW was the game that we constantly looked up to. Saying we won or lost to WoW is off base to start with, because they were the game that we aspired to be. And for anyone who hasn't played Final Fantasy or doesn't know the story behind the game, basically, they started the entire thing from scratch. They had a game, and they didn't think it was good enough, so they destroyed the entire thing, started with a blank slate. They played World of Warcraft, looked at the entire system of World of Warcraft, and based their game around other games and built up the entire game from scratch. So the next post that I want to talk about right now is JL and Brack stepping down, and who's taking over as co-leaders for Blizzard, and this is basically a blue post on the Blizzard forums. So, to all members of the Blizzard community, we want to let you guys know about an important leadership change at Blizzard Entertainment. Starting today, JL and Brack will be stepping down as the leader of the studio, and Jen O'Neill and Mike Ibarra will co-lead the Blizzard moving forward. Jen joined Blizzard in January as Executive Vice President of Development, where she's been providing senior development leadership and support to the Diablo and Overwatch franchises. Jen is the former head of Vicarious Visions, which is now part of Blizzard Entertainment. After many years at working at Xbox, Mike joined the company in 2019 as the Executive Vice President and General Manager of Platform and Technology, where he has been overseeing the evolution of Battle.net and our development services organization. Jen and Mike have more than 3 decades of gaming industry experience between them, and moving forward they will share responsibilities over game development and company operations. Both leaders are deeply committed to all of our employees, to the work ahead to ensure Blizzard is the safest, most welcoming workplace possible for women and people of any gender and ethnicity, sexual orientation or background, to upholding and reinforcing our values, and to rebuild your trust. With their many years of industry experience and deep commitment to integrity and inclusivity, Jen and Mike will lead Blizzard with care, compassion, and a dedication to excellence. You will hear more from Jen and Mike very soon. The following is a message from JL and Brack. I am confident that Jen O'Neill and Mike Ibarra will provide the leadership that Blizzard needs to realize its full potential and will accelerate the pace of change. I anticipate they will do so with passion and enthusiasm, and that they can be trusted to lead with the highest levels of integrity and commitment to the components of our culture that make Blizzard so special. Finally, thank you all for being a part of the Blizzard community, and for your passion and the determination for safety and equality for all. Now personally, I'm really hyped about this leadership change, and I do have a lot of faith in this leadership change for Blizzard, and it really tells us that they finally have some developers or some people in charge that actually plays the game. If you go to Mike Ibarra's Twitter, you can see that he's done all 8 Mythic Plus 20s in the last patch, or very recently, July 3rd. He did all 8 Mythic Plus 20s, meaning he does play the game at a fairly high level, and he could make the changes needed in that type of level within the game itself. If you just look at this meme right here, that was a meme from Shadowlands and also BFA as well. Basically, they announced the next expansion and promised to listen to feedback. then players give constructive feedback about core systems, then for X.0, they disagree and promise to balance everything perfectly down the line and just release a semi-broken expansion. X.1, or in this case 9.1, they adjust according to popular demand. 9.2, they're going to start adjusting it based on feedback that was initially provided during alpha, and then in 9.3 they're going to fix the expansion. This is basically what they've been doing all the time for pretty much every expansion. For BFA as well, people had a lot of issues with BFA. We brought up the issues during the alpha and the beta, or the alpha and the beta, same thing. They didn't listen to the feedback, they went ahead with their initial plan. Nobody liked it. Then in X.1, or in that case 8.1, they adjusted it according to popular demand and messed it up even more. Then in 8.2 they started adjusting it based on the feedback. Then in 8.3 they tried to fix the expansion, but they also introduced a new system, which kind of made it even worse in my opinion, based on the nightmare stuff and everything happening in 8.3. Now for Shadowlands they had so many systems at the launch, and they decided for 9.1 to introduce even more systems with the socket, the chains of dominations, and domination gear, domination sockets, and just make everything so complicated. All players wanted was tier sets, and instead of giving us tier sets, they gave us some sockets that are RNG, by the way, so some people are still farming for their best in slot domination sockets, and some people during the race to World First was unable to get their best in slot domination socket because it is so RNG. Just having simple tier sets would be so much better, but apparently we think we want it, but we don't. It is the same typical thing, you think you do but you don't mindset, all over again. Just give us the tier sets and we'll be happy. Stop introducing complicated systems on top of complicated systems to make everything so complicated for yourself. Work on the basics of the game, give us a basic game that looks good, give us tier sets, give us fun, exciting content that involves people, and just stop all the systems. We don't need the systems. The thing about these systems is that they are built to keep you playing that expansion. Then at the end of the expansion, that system no longer matters. It is a way of giving you a carrot on a stick to chase, and when you finally get the carrot, you are being told it wasn't worth anything anyway, or in some cases the carrot is taken away from you before you get to enjoy it. This started off back in Legion, I would say, when we had artifacts, which you could progress all throughout Legion. Then the second Legion was over, artifacts didn't really matter. They gave you some transmog and some cosmetic value, which actually is great. But the other thing about artifacts, it doesn't really matter anymore. It's all about the cosmetics. For BFA, we had the BFA gear, or what was it called, Azerite gear, and they didn't even have cosmetics. It was just a reskin. And after BFA, that gear doesn't matter. Nothing from the systems of BFA matters anymore, and it's going to be the same in the next expansion as well. The Covenants from Shadowlands no longer matters. All of your anima doesn't matter. All of your conduits no longer matters. All of your domination sockets no longer matters. It is a way of giving you a temporary carrot on a stick for the expansion, so they can reset the carrot for the next expansion as well. It is a system I don't really like myself, and I want to work on some more permanent goals instead of always having temporary goals. I kinda went off on a rant there, but the point is that if Blizzard wants WoW to become a fun game again that people want to play, basically a fun, thriving game, then they have to focus on the fundamentals of the game itself and just stop all of the systems, stop making it so complicated, both for the players and for themselves. This is something that has led to a lot of people quitting. It is not just the things about Blizzard PR, it is also about how they handle their game and what they value for the content itself. They have to listen to player feedback and give us what we want. So yeah, I guess the point of the video was just to provide you guys with some interesting topics, and I also wanted to give my feedback on what I think about WoW right now. Personally, I love playing WoW, it's a lot of fun, but the recent expansions haven't been so much fun content-wise. But I mostly farm gold anyway, and I love farming gold, both in BFA and Shadowlands to be honest, as well as both Classic WoW and TBC Classic. but for the content itself, I really do think they need to do something massive. And also, I kind of just want to see them wrap up Shadowlands as fast as possible and get to the next expansion. The thing is, they've already introduced so many systems on top of systems in Shadowlands that I think Shadowlands is kind of irredeemable at this point, and I kind of think they have messed it up so much that they have to move on. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I think that is pretty much it. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below, leave a comment as well, subscribe for more content, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon.